AskReddit by Stargazer 624. What is the most disturbing fact you know? 30% of people reported missing and found dead were killed by the person reporting them missing. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but around 3/4 of violent crimes in my country were committed by a person known to the victim. It's why teaching kids to be safe has moved away from stranger danger, cause chances are if someone tries to take them they've met them before. Edit. According to ScotGov last year 64% of violent crimes were committed by someone known to the victim. This does not adjust to account for the large amount of football related assaults that will be stranger based. When whales and dolphins get too old they just drown. This why some people think old sick whales dolphins beach themselves, so they don't drown. One of the more recent things I learned about is a diving disaster where 4 divers got sucked up into an underwater pipe and 3 of them got stuck in there. The company decided to wait until they were dead instead of doing a rescue operation because money. They said they heard banging for 3 days until it finally stopped. Not a fun way to go, inside a dark pipe alone, cold and scared. Damn. May those souls rest in peace. I saw this in an expo video on YouTube recently. One of the divers was brave enough to venture by himself to see if he could find the entrance to get help. He was miraculously able to find it and get rescued, and when they told him they had no intentions of saving his friends, he nearly climbed back down the pipe to rescue them, himself. He seems like such a genuinely heroic man, and I can't imagine the amount of survivors guilt he deals with because of those selfish, greedy pricks. Awful situation that should not have resulted in the way it did. During the cleanup of Pearl Harbor, as the recovery crews for US West Virginia, BB-48, got deeper into the ship months after the attack, they discovered bodies high in the engine room and a locked storeroom where air bubbles had kept them alive for 2 weeks based on calendars they used to keep track of time. That was well after divers had made their first passes over the ship listening for sounds of survivors. Go to 36 minutes, https://www.youtube.com/watch?DLLCE1WNAIE right square bracket open bracket https://www.youtube.com watch v equals DLC1WNAE. I read a memoir from one of the salvage divers at Pearl Harbor. He said that missing those guys stuck with him for the rest of his life. A vitamin D deficiency can make you suicidal, and deficiencies among adults is very common. Like more than 50% of the population in the US. Been popping lots of Vit D and omega-3s lately. I really feel a difference in my mood. Only 20% of the males born in the Soviet Union in 1923 survived World War II. How about 1919? When you're burning to death your eyes melt out of your head before you die. So you're still alive while your eyes are melting. Oh, it's so much worse than that. It takes a long time to die when you burn to death. Edit. Okay, you can all stop telling me about people on fire now. I have to walk around with this brain, you know. If you are properly skinned alive you can survive upwards of an hour and will die from hypothermia, not blood loss. Even in a hospital setting they may be able to keep you alive for a bit, but infection will most likely get you eventually. One of the docs I used to work with was talking about a case he had in residency. A woman was on fire and survived, but most of her skin was gone. I forget how long she survived, but it was at least multiple days. Ended up dying from multiple infections all over her body. Hard to survive in any conditions with the first line of defense absent. Mummies weren't that rare until the Victorian British ate so many of them. Don't forget burn for heat. The fact that the couple down the street from me with 3 kids are not husband and wife. They are in fact brother and sister. Yes, I know it for fact. I went to grammar school with them. Everybody just turns a blind eye. I am baffled they entered into a relationship in the town where they grew up, and surely everyone who knew them would know. You ever use bleach without gloves, and it gets kinda slimy? That slime isn't the bleach. It's your skin melting. Reminds me of my high school chemistry teacher explaining bases. Feels like soap and then your skin falls off. We don't know the effects of microplastics on the human body, partially because we can't find a control group. I was a social worker. I saw a lot. The first 3 weeks, we were in a classroom doing intensive training. Every day, someone would walk out. It wasn't out of being rude, it's because each person has a point at which they cannot go any further. They showed us some of the worst. The deal is, they do it for very good reason. If we are so horrified that we refuse to learn about the abuse, how will we recognize it in one of our kids? That's what I ask of all adults. Please, if you see something, don't assume it's impossible so you can push it out of your mind. A whole lot is possible. I'm a case manager for a substance abuse rehab center that allows mothers and children to stay together while they get services. Humanity is a scary thing. A client in my center make her 3-year-old swallow her drugs in a balance so she wouldn't get caught with them and kicked out of the center. There have been so many ODs. Only one death in my time there, but it's still soul sucking. I did just have my first client who successfully completed the program send me a letter to celebrate 2 years sober. That was nice. I'm glad I made that much of a difference for her. There's a very concerning number of nuclear warheads that are unaccounted for. Any sum higher than 0 is a very concerning number. An estimated 39 homeless people die each year from being attacked by rats in Mumbai. But what does that mean? Swarms of rats boiling out of sewer grates stripping unsuspecting sleeping homeless people down to a pile of wet bones? Or some guy with an untreated long-standing leg infection got more of his dead leg eaten by rats nibble by nibble and resulted in a more fatal infectious organism catching root. People have sex in rivers where I am from. River water here in the Amazon is dark, black, so they are opaque. Sometimes if you see 2 people standing or sitting behind each other, there is a good chance they are having sex. River sex is a great way to get all kinds of sick. The youngest person to give birth was 5 years old. That's horrific. There are multiple scenarios in which all life on Earth can be snuffed out in an instant, and we would never see it coming. There's decent evidence that the Challenger astronauts didn't die when the vehicle broke apart. They may have even been conscious and alert inside the crew compartment all the way to the surface of the ocean, which was like a 2.5 minute fall. It's possible they were knocked out, but it's possible they weren't.
https://www.nasa.gov/missions/space-shuttle/challenger-crew-transcript/ Per NASA's own transcript, the last recorded words on Challenger was pilot Mike Smith saying "Oh." The number 1 cause of death for pregnant women is domestic violence. And in a handful of states, you can't get a divorce while pregnant. If it wasn't for your stomach lining, your stomach would eat you from the inside out. Pancreatitis can do this. If your inflamed pancreas starts leaking, digestive enzymes spill into your abdomen and start wreaking havoc. Edit 2. As of April states a systematic review /3,165,682 DE3A5D7C5D487CECD5FF02680. 30 US states still allow medical students to give pelvic exams to women under anesthesia without their consent. This means a woman does not have to be asked for consent, nor do they have to inform her afterwards. A majority of the 20 state laws that do ban this practice do not include rectal or breast exams, only pelvic. It's possible for rats to swim up your toilet piping. There are enough air pockets to travel all the way into your bathroom. I could have lived my whole life not knowing this, but here you go.
pretty much anything that happened during the Cambodian genocide. I went to Cambodia a few years back. There is a clear generation gap in the country. The Khmer Rouge wiped out 25% of the whole country. The majority of adults who sexually abuse children aren't even pedophiles. They're just opportunistic and or get off on the power trip. As in, they're not even particularly into kids, they just do it because they can. Typically the power assertive rape. The rapist can target anyone.